blood reports. Now imagine this all data is available for free. Obviously it's not small, it's very big data, but the potential with this is that any kid tomorrow can just download it if he or she has that system to support, and they can actually start building models out of it. And I'm not kidding, people have done this, students have done this, they have built models just to detect certain things in the cancer world or things like that. And it is now so easy for people to do it. This is why I want all of you to go and check these repositories, because you might come with some different ideas of solving a problem. Your students might come up with different ideas of maybe let's use this to do this kind of a thing. And this is why I'll stop this with Kaggle. Kaggle is one of those websites which, if you don't know, you should really make it a part of your classes, because Kaggle is like that platform where there are a lot of business problems, fun problems, problems which are hosted, where you have a data, where you have all these steps that needs to be done, and millions of people across the world. And I'm not kidding, there are so many people from companies, from schools, from colleges, everybody is sort of doing some problem solving there. So it's a competitive programming thing, but it is focused only for data science problems. So what you can do is you can leverage this in your classes. You can take problem statements which are there, which are real world data which is available there. There are many fun problems in all domain, whether it's medical or any other kind of things. They are all available there. You can just download it. If let's say you don't know how to solve it, people have put up their codes, people have put up their end-to-end code, so you can just go through and see what they have done. So it's a complete open platform. It's a wealth of knowledge. In fact, people who are coming to data science industry, one of the very important things that we always see, whether they have done anything in Kaggle or not, because it's really more than their graduation, because at this point we don't have that much that much things in those areas, but we generally check Kaggles and things like that. Now we come to visualization. So like I said, of all the components, we're going to talk about some basic components in each session. Now what I'm going to do is, again, let's first understand why is data visualization important, because the whole idea is to convey information through visual representation. And what is that information, right? So what we try to do is we try to understand, what do we mean by that and how do we use it. So what I'll do is, let me stop this, let me go to Alright, so can you tell me if you can see the notebook?
Yes, sir.
Wonderful session.
Okay, perfect. So what I wanted to do in this notebook is, and again in the presentation you have the link. For those of you who don't know what Google Colab is, Google Colab is, think of it as online hosted version of Jupyter Notebooks. Again, for those of you who don't know what Jupyter Notebook is, it is one way of doing coding which is interactive, which is not like you're doing coding either on a terminal or on IDEs that you typically do. So it functions like a book wherein you can write a code. So for example, let's say, for those of you know basic Python, let's say I want to do 3 plus 3. I can write that code and I can just run this, and this is all happening on the internet. So all of this is nothing on my laptop. This is all online, and you can sort of share it with people, which is the most amazing thing, because now whatever I work on, I can directly share it with you. So the beauty of these notebooks in general are that you can code something and you get the output next to the cell. So you don't have to do write the whole code and then run something and then wait for it. So this is, again, for those of you who don't know what it is, for those of you who know, this is just the online hosted version. This is Google's product, so you have to sign in with Google if you see and want to sort of access the notebook that I have done. Now what I've done in this notebook is very simple. I have a Titanic data set. So let me show you the data first. this is the data. So this is again, all of you know what Titanic is. It was a ship which drowned, and we had a movie on it, and it's something which all of us understand very well. So this data is essentially that data where each row represents a detail of a passenger who traveled on Titanic, and we know whether they survived or not. So zero means they didn't. Sorry, one means they didn't survive. Zero means they did survive. Right. So what we are trying to do here is we are trying to sort of see what all we can. Sorry, let me put this here. So survive is one and five zero. Okay. So this data is essentially a data which sort of talks about that whether this passenger survived or he died. He or she died during the process. So you know the person's name. And again, one thing which is very interesting to this data is that each is not a single person. Each is a ticket. So each ticket could be of a family. Maybe 2 or 3 person might be traveling with this. So for example, these are two people, because if you see siblings and spouses is one, which is that he was traveling with his probably with his sibling or his wife, and there are no parents and children. So if they were, you will get one or two or three, how many numbers they are. So what we are seeing is whether the whole ticket survived or the whole ticket sort of drowned during the process. Now, now we have the name, we know their genders, we know their ages, we know whether they are accompanied with siblings or spouses, we know whether they were accompanied with parents and children, the ticket numbers, how much fare in pounds have they paid, the cabin number, and the embarked. Embarked is basically port from where they have taken the Titanic, just like train stations or airports. So this is the data. Now in this data, we have already seen that whenever something can be put into rows and columns, it typically becomes a structured data. So this is a structured data which we are trying to handle. The goal of this data is simple, that can you predict that who will survive and who will drown the Titanic? So this is like a hello world data of machine learning. You will see a reference of this across many different introductions. In fact, a lot of you might be very familiar and you might have done a lot of things around it. So what I want to show in this is that how, from the industry point of view, in a very minimalistic code, which will make a lot of you very happy, we can do so much of the visualization in a single go. Now for that, what I'm going to do is I have loaded the data from a GitHub, and I have a couple of libraries that I'm loading. Again, for those of you who are not aware of Python, you can just see how things are, and there are a lot of sessions Teams does every week, so you can sort of attend that, and this will start making sense. So we are loading certain libraries. One of the most important one is pandas profiling. Now what that does is very promising. What it does is it creates a report, and let me first show you the code for it, because the point that we are trying to see is how much can we create with the minimalistic code. So if you see the code, all it does is I'm calling a profile report, I'm passing the iframe, and I'm sort of saying that just create a data profile of my data. And then finally I'm creating an iframe. So you see there are two lines of codes, and these are again something when you go and understand, these are very straightforward code. And then it produces a report like this. Now this report is a report of your data, just like a report card of a student. This is a report card of your data, where it tells you what are the number of variables, number of observation, how many missing values do you have, missing cells in a sense, how many percentage of missing values. Because again, see, we talked about in the big data that it's very important for us to have a validated data, or a data which is sort of which has truthfulness into it, right? So when you have missing data means there are some data points which are not available, which is not good for us, right? So this is what we get as a report. We understand. Now the other beauty of this is it generates for each column a graph that you can see and understand what this data is all about. So let's take the survived column. If you see it, this report tells us that there are 342 survivors and 549 dead people. And it makes sense because when we have seen the movie Titanic, we know that there are a lot of people who died and there are very few people who survived. So this makes complete sense. But the beauty is you never had to write a code to see this graph, right? You just did one single report and it gave you the whole idea of this. So you can now see distinct count as to missing values. So there are no missing values in survive. So we are happy. There's good unique details in it. You can toggle detail and you can go in more detail and sort of understand a bit more detail, like exactly what is the percentages of these records. Now, very similarly, you can see P class is just like, we have sleeper, AC1, AC2, AC3. They also had classes. So you can see that we have three, third is the lowest class, one is the higher class. So you can see that there are a lot of people in Titanic which are traveling through third class. Now, here's the thing. This is a very funny thing. If you remember the movie Titanic, you would know that the first people to die were the people who were at the bottom of it. And at the bottom of the ship, there was third class. And this is why you see there are so many people in the third class. And it would be interesting to see this correlation and check in the data whether this actually makes sense or not. Like, is it the people who died, which class do they belong to most? And we draw one graph to sort of showcase that. But that's the whole idea. So you can see that we have a graph for age. Again, you didn't draw it, you didn't have to write a code, but the report generated it for you. So you can now very clearly see the representation of the data. So you can see that there are 88 distinct. You see how many. So in this, you can see that there are 177 records which are missing, which is almost 19% of the record. This is not good, right? So even before going to the model without running any code, you were able to see these kinds of things. You get to see the mean of the data. These are certain statistics, which is very important. Again, as part of AI, if you remember the last session, we talked about that data science is nothing but a combination of statistics, mathematics, and so on and so forth. So we do want to understand certain statistical property of the data. So max, zeros, memory size we will just focus on. But nevertheless, this is what the report says. Now, I would request all of you to go through this and see what the report contains and see the power it has, because it sort of gives you so much information with just a simple, code. This also contains correlations, so you can actually see what is the correlation of, for example, P class with survive. So let's check P class survive. And if I see the color coding, it shows somewhere between minus 0.25. So it's a negative correlation, which again makes sense. Negative correlation means higher the class, lower the survival rate, right? Higher means if it is 3, you will have lesser survival rate. So which makes sense. So there's a 30% negative correlation into those things. And again, like I said, this is something which you never had to write a code for. It has all been given to you just by writing a single line of code. Now let's quickly, before we end for today's session, let me show you two more representations. So like I said, I wanted to see whether there's a correlation between survival and the classes that they are traveling on, right? So for that, what I'm doing is I'm using matplotlib, which is a very important library in Python to create graphs. What I'm doing in this is I'm simply writing a function. Functions are those wrappers where you don't have to rewrite the code again and again, and you can just call them again and again. So you don't have to. So for example, if your code involves like 5, 6 lines, and you have to rewrite them again and again. So functions are those wrappers which can sort of wrap everything around, and you don't have to call the whole lines, and you can just call a single line and it will do your work. So in this function, what I'm saying is just tell me the feature you want to plot, and I will calculate the survived and the dead. So survived is 1, non-survived is 0. And then I'm just simply doing a df.plot. Again, I'm not going in detail of how this plot was created, because the intent is not this. You will see all of these in the Python sessions which are happening. But the intent is to show you the power of these visualizations, like how can you get to a information or the insight quickly. So I'm just plotting this and I'm saying I want a bar plot, and this should be stacked, and this is the figure size. I'll show you what stacked is. Now what I'm doing is I'm simply, see, this is what the beauty of functions are. I can now just call this line again and again, and I don't have to write them multiple times. So I'm saying please plot the P class and show me the graph of it. So you see, I just all this, and there you go. This is the graph. Now, what it is showing us is a very important information, which is what we have seen in the movie also, which is, if you notice, who are the people who are surviving. If you see from the distribution, you will notice that the blue has a higher distribution. If you go to the legends of the graph, you will see that the blue is 1, which is higher class. Again, this makes sense from a movie point of view, because in movie, people who were rich enough, they were at the top and they were actually running away, even though as a management of the ship decided the women should go first, women and child. But there were so many people who were so rich enough, they actually gave money to people just to sit on the boats and things like that, right? So this again shows the same thing from the graph itself. And the opposite of it, if you see the deads are of class 3, which makes sense. See, this is what we said, right? Our hypothesis was that people who are traveling through third class, and I'm not saying they're poor, I'm just saying that in terms of hierarchy they were at the lowest in terms of ship. So when the ship hit, they were the ones who were dead first. And this is what it shows from the graph as well, and this is the power of visualization. See, again, think for a moment, what did we do? We loaded the data and we just wrote bunch of 3 lines of 5 lines of codes, and we were able to confirm our hypothesis. And hence, this is why I said this is what data science is all about. That you have a hypothesis, you prove it with data, you prove it with visualizations, and that's what it sort of helps you. Now, I'm just going to show you the last graph just to sort of give you a heads up that there are so many powerful graphs beyond the graph that you just saw, which are interactive also. So there's a library called as Plotly Express, which is built over Matplotlib. And you can see I'm just writing a single line. I'm saying I want a scatter plot, and I just want these 5 columns, and they should have been colored with the survived. Now, if you come down, you will see that it gives me an interactive graph. Why am I saying this is interactive? Because I can see the quotations of the data. I can see live who survived and who didn't, like what section of data survived and what section of data didn't survive. In fact, I can just select something and I can say, all right, this is the data where it seems like a lot of people have survived. And I can see the age of those people, I can see what is the variation of age and things like that. So this is very powerful. And if you see the amount of effort it took to draw that, very minimal, right? It's just a single line of code where you just had to mention, this is my data, these are the columns I want to sort of see, and please filter everything with the color, which is the survived class that I'm interested in. So that's the whole idea. So again, I will stop here. Like I said, I want to conclude by saying that the idea of the session was to show you different components of AI, including this, which is big data, and how visualization plays a crucial role in doing anything related to AI. So that's all from my end. I'm open to questions.
So we have 5 minutes for the Q&A session. Those who want to ask anything,
I just want to add one or two statements over here for the teachers. Good evening, everybody, and thank you, Lavi, for such a great presentation. It was very well explained, and thank you, Gurpreet sir, for the same platform every single time. Apologies for not being able to make it to the session for participation part today. This is just one heads up to all the teachers who are teaching artificial intelligence in grade 10th specifically. Reasons being that we are always looking for resources when it comes to the Python component of our theory paper, or for the practical component for the 15 marks that we look for in our paper. This activity that you have just seen right now is one of the activities that can be done with the students, and the students can be asked to create these kind of notebooks which can be put up in their practical files. So this actually helps us come down to zeroing down to those projects which we are looking forward for CBSE or otherwise also. So very well explained, sir. Thank you so much for such an informative session.
Thank you, Arneet ma'am, for pitching in. Thank you so much, Lavi sir. We have been receiving wonderful responses in our chat box for today's session as well as the last one. People are looking forward for more one from both of you. And you rightly said, with every passing session, session, with every new session, our knowledge base and inclination towards your session is increasing. So I must congratulate Lavi sir and Amit ma'am for that. And it was an amazing fact that this TBs of data is being analyzed in a few seconds through these things, Hadoop and the Spark one that we have shared. It's really amazing. And yes, we have been hearing, we have been reading about the data is the new oil. We have seen in the past a lot of wars and political concerns happening over the dispute of oil, and the ones who are having a huge amount of oil, they are rich enough now. The trend is shifting, and we are in this era of data, rather big data. Yes, certainly the next thing, the next big thing is data only, and the countries, the places, the people will be having more data security and good capabilities for data analysis will be moving towards that richness concept. So thank you so much for such a wonderful session, and on behalf of every participant, thank you from the core of our heart for sparing your valuable time and sharing the experience that you have gathered over the period of time. We are grateful to you, and we look forward having so many more sessions from Lavi sir and both of you.
Hello, sir. This is Jatin. I just have a small question, if you don't mind.
Yes, please, Latin, go ahead.
So, recently, as recent as like 2-3 days ago, I was just going through an article wherein Sachin Tendulkar had, given a reference where I had heard that Bitcoin, which is one of the money-making machines, so-called money-making machines nowadays, is using AI and machine learning to calculate the profits or wherever we put in money, they can invest that money. So can you shed some light on how important AI and machine learning is in terms of uh, taking out these possibilities of gaining profit when it comes to Bitcoin or these kind of areas where people are investing nowadays, and how true is that?
Thank you. I think you mean Bitcoin, right?
Yes, sir. Bitcoin.
Okay. Okay. Wonderful. So basically, it's partly true and partly hype, which is to do with every new technology that comes in. So we should take all of them with a pinch of salt. Not to say that they are not, it's not possible to do these things, but they are at a very early stage at this point. There are many companies who are investing money just by algorithms, which is to say that the algorithms tells us that, all right, invest in this company with this much exposure, then you do mutual funds, or if you're buying stocks and things like that. So there are definitely a lot of companies who are into it. They're doing it, not not to the extent of hype which is generated. Like I said, which is very common. It happens with every technology. But there's a great future in these things. So I think down the line, 5 to 10 years, we will have automated investment um, products which are going to come up. In India, we have some companies who already have those products, but in future we will see a lot more, which will help us be more proactive in terms of investment. It will help us reduce the risk, which is the biggest issue with investment, is that sometimes you have no idea when the stocks are going to go, like for example in the COVID scenarios, right? Um, so this is the whole idea. So yes, there is a hype, there is a truth to those things. People have done it, people are doing it, but it's going to take a lot of time to be mature enough at a level where we can just say, all right, now nobody from a human world does investing. It's just the algorithms and computers. So I think that is going to be next 10 years or 5 10 years.
So currently, just to add on, currently, is it safe to say that from an investment point of view, I know it's probably it's not with reference to what you're talking about, but is it actually a safe bet in today's time to probably rely on AI and ML while you're saying it's 5 to 10 years when we will probably be very sure about it? Is it a good bet to invest in Bitcoin at this point in time, depending on AI and ML?
I don't think so. I think, see, when you say should I trust, I would say you should if you are a person who understands the technology of AI as well as the Bitcoin and you understand the market how it operates, then I would say you can trust. But if you're, let's say, I am a person who has no idea what the market, how the market functions. So for a dummy person like me, I should not trust it. So this is the whole idea that if you're somebody who understands both the technology and the market, you can trust it. If you're not, if you're dummy or if you have no idea and you just want to spend money or if you just want to invest money, then just wait for some more, I would say 5 to 10 years now.
Right. Thank you so much, sir. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Gurpreet sir, you are on mute.
Thank you, ma'am. Sorry, I was on mute. I was thanking Levi sir and Harmeet ma'am once again, and to the participants at the next session, the coding club session, Python session number 8 is at 6 p.m. and I'm just going to share the link here in the chat box. I've shared it. You can join using this link, and I've shared the same link in the WhatsApp group also. So see you at 6 p.m. for the Python session, and once again I am grateful to have Lavi sir and Harmeet ma'am for these wonderful sessions. And we look forward to having many more sessions with you.
Yep. Thanks, Kabir, for hosting, and thanks everyone.
Sir, today's Python section is on which topic, sir?
Python only, ma'am. It's a series of sessions. Python, it's a 8 session.
Thank you.
We wanted to have a specific out of that. So that was on variables. We discussed variables last time, and we'll be continuing from there. Right. Thank you so much.
Hello. Are you hear me? Hello. Are you hear me? Is it the Google Meet? How many participants present this webinar? Hello. Are you hear me, dear sir? Hello. Pore.